What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Merab Dvalishvilli reacts to Umar Nurmagomedov fight. Merab Dvalishvilli repeatedly said that Umar Nurmagomedov did not deserve a title shot just yet. So no one should be surprised to hear that the bantamweight champ seems just fine with Umar fighting Song Yadong next. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. After Nurmagomedov defeated Corey Sandhagen in August, all signs pointed to the undefeated bantamweight fighting for the championship. Before and after Dvalishvilli took the title from Sean O'Malley at UFC 306, however, he argued other fighters like Deiveson Figueiredo deserve a shot at the crown more. Then, more recently, Merab and Umar feuded online about when they would fight, as Nurmagomedov wanted to compete before Ramadan in March. Well, ultimately, Nurmagomedov was booked to fight Yadong on December 14th. So while speaking to MMA Pros Pick following the fight's announcement, Merab weighed in on the news.
It's a very interesting fight. Umar wanted to fight December and he was keep talking trash in the internet. Like, bro, I just win the title fight. Like, and I guess he don't want to wait or something. And now we will see who's gonna fight for the belt. Either winner of this fight or winner of Figueiredo and Yan, or maybe rematch against O'Malley. Let's see who will be ready for like March. Usually every champion takes 6 months. First, for sure, I need 6 months, and after maybe I will keep it more short. I wanna be busy. I just win the belt, and I wanna take my 6 months. Let me tell you this. I'm ready for fight. Whoever will be next, whoever UFC will give me, I will fight. I don't care. I'm a champion now, and I don't care. That's why I don't like. They have to call me out. I don't have to call them out. You know.
While it is true that a lot of champions only fight once every 6 months, there's certainly no hard fast rule. Just look at Alex Pereira. And Merab's comments here are a bit surprising, given that it wasn't long ago he was calling for a rematch with O'Malley in November, as this post also noted. Umar wanted to fight in December. Bro, I just won the title. Aljamain Sterling fires back at fans who claim Merab ducked Umar Nurmagomedov. Aljo wrote, "You guys are exhausting, constantly repeating stuff that makes no sense. He just won the belt. Merab is Christian, not Muslim. Making one man's religious beliefs the cause for ducking is baffling. How the heck is that Merab's fault? Make it make sense." That's right, you can't. So what's your take on all this? Is it understandable if Merab does want to wait until next spring before fighting again? Or do you think he was trying to avoid a showdown with the Dagestani smasher? Up next, Belal Muhammad responds to Conor McGregor in interview. Conor McGregor recently proclaimed that he would have difficulty putting Belal Muhammad away and become a 3-division champ. But not surprisingly, Muhammad has a very different take on how a bout between them would go. As the MMA world continues to wait to see if McGregor will in fact return to the octagon, the polarizing star remains an active trash talker. Case in point, the Irish star recently made headlines by a social media post he ultimately deleted, in which he claimed the following about a fight with Belal. "I'd love to crush my left hook into Belal's temple and take down the Triple Crown. I'd do it easily and fast. To think this bum is now a UFC champion with 0 knockdowns on his resume whatsoever is so bad. The UFC's most abysmal 0 revenue generating fighter in modern history." Conor's not going to come back, and if he does come back, I don't think he's ever going to beat anybody. He's that old guy that's at the bar. "I used to be a champion. I used to be double champ, blah blah blah." I think people are going to start realizing that everything Conor does is just blowing smoke. He's not really going to fight. He's just talking. I would literally slap him around the cage. It would literally be embarrassing, to the point of people would be like, "No way, this guy was a double champion before. How's this guy being a fighter?" The game's passed him up. First off, McGregor needs to record a victory for the first time since 2020 before any real talk about him possibly fighting for the welterweight title should kick off. And really, even if McGregor fights and beats, say, Michael Chandler in 2025, a welterweight title shot almost certainly wouldn't be in the cards. But what do you think of Belal's response here? And do you agree he would embarrass the heavy-handed star? Max Holloway praises Alex Pereira. As the highly anticipated fight between Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway nears, talk about whether Blessed could lock up Fighter of the Year honors with a victory has been making the rounds. But the way the former champion and legend sees it, no one will have a better case for Fighter of the Year than Alex Pereira. Not only did Holloway add another accolade to his resume this past April by finishing Justin Gaethje to win the BMF title, the knockout he recorded will still be watched for generations. So if Holloway is able to reclaim the featherweight title by becoming the first man to defeat Topuria, there's no doubt that he'll be in the mix for Fighter of the Year. But when asked about this while talking with Yahoo Sports' Kevin Ayala, Holloway wasted little time before saying that Poatan should be Fighter of the Year. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know that I would do that. The way Alex took fights, I mean, the fastest guy to defend his title, right? With 3 title defenses. That's a hard man to beat. I mean, every time I'm in the talks for it, somebody's having a crazy year. I think Alex Pereira has got that win in the bag already. Since the beginning of 2024, Pereira has taken out Jamal Hill, Yuri Prohaska, and most recently, Khalil Roundtree Jr. Statistically speaking, that would be a more impressive campaign. But some have argued that wins over Gaethje and Topuria are more impressive. Holloway moved up to 155 to fight Gaethje, and as noted, Topuria has never lost. So what do you think? If Blessed wins at UFC 308 and does so in jaw-dropping fashion, should he be Fighter of the Year? Up next, UFC updates. If you've been waiting to see who Brian Ortega is going to fight next, unfortunately, it looks like T-City may not be throwing hands anytime soon. Ortega is coming off a clear-cut decision loss to Diego Lopez at UFC 306 this past September. That bout took place at 145 pounds, but for months, the longtime contender has been talking about moving up to lightweight. Well, more recently, Ortega reported via live stream on social media that the UFC is having trouble finding him a fight at both lightweight and featherweight.
You're still moving to 155. I had to talk to my manager, man, because we looked up at the fights, and there's nothing really at 45, and there's nothing really at 55. As in terms of that the UFC wants, and we want as well. So, time to take some time on how to get better, which is actually a good reason why I'm here in Denver. Actually, was just looking to, find more training opportunities other than LA.
So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, especially if Ortega decides to spend more time training in Denver, which has several notable camps, including Trevor Whitman's. And Muhammad Mokaev is no longer on the UFC roster, but the undefeated flyweight is about to compete against Raul Rosas Jr.? How's that possible, you may be asking? Well, by competing, we're talking about grappling, as recently ADXC announced that Mokaev and Rosas Jr. will square off in the headliner of the promotion's October 26th event. Originally, Umar Nurmagomedov and Eduardo Dantas were supposed to compete in the card's main event, but then Umar was booked to fight Song Yadong at the UFC's December 14th card in Tampa. So who do you see winning this grappling match, Mokaev or Rosas Jr.? Nate Diaz and Brendan Schaub go back and forth. Chances are an online scrap between Brendan Schaub and Nate Diaz was not something you were expecting to hear about today, but here we are. Now, if you're an old school fan, you may recall that way back in 2017, following Conor McGregor's boxing loss to Floyd Mayweather Jr., Diaz reportedly had some fiery words for Schaub backstage. At the time, Schaub believed that there had been some sort of misunderstanding. Fast forward to 2024, and the two are trading verbal shots again. It's not entirely clear what set Diaz off, but recently, the Stockton Star posted Brendan the big old P word via social media. Some have opined, including Schaub himself, that the dig was on account of a recent podcast episode in which Schaub got emotional reflecting on the medical issues his former teammate Shane Carwin is battling. Diaz's post prompted the retired UFC heavyweight to respond with this: "Oh buddy, I probably got 20 pounds on you, so not too far off. I'll snap your neck. Set up a grappling match and let me know how it goes for you. Have one of your handlers read this tweet and get back to me. Not sure what set this dude off. Mentioning CTE, I assume. All good. Do something about it, bud. I'm not hard to find. Have your handlers set up a grappling match. Let's see how it goes for you." It'll be fascinating to see if Diaz responds and if he's interested in grappling Schaub. Would you be interested in seeing that matchup? And do you think there's any realistic chance of Diaz agreeing to it? And if so, who would win? Robert Whittaker sends a warning to Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev is a fair-sized favorite on all the betting lines for his upcoming fight with Robert Whittaker. But if you thought Bobby Knuckles would be short on confidence as UFC 308 approaches, you obviously haven't been following him close enough. The former middleweight champion has been booked to fight Chimaev in the October 26 card's co-headliner. Although Whittaker is one of this generation's greatest middleweights, the consensus seems to be that he'll have a tough time handing Chimaev his first defeat. But while speaking to Kevin Ayola from Yahoo Sports recently, Whittaker outlined why he's more than confident he'll defeat Boers.
I definitely like to put faith in my striking ability. You know, the fact that I'm going to go in there and I'm going to hunt him down. I'm going to take the fight to him. And I don't think he'll be able to stand up to that. I don't think my wrestling defense and the caliber of my striking is going to give him an easy night. You know, I can also fight from the first second through the 25th minute. So right. I hope he's ready because I am.
Given Whittaker's abilities and who he's defeated to date, it would be foolish to count him out against Chimaev. But what do you think? Do you see the Reaper having his hand raised at UFC 308? Or is Chimaev's loss column going to remain empty following the event? Now let's take a look at what's next for Francis Ngannou after stoppage win. Francis Ngannou returned to the cage for the first time since early 2022 on Saturday And once again, the Predator showcased why he's one of the most feared men in the galaxy. Ngannou faced Renan Ferreira in the headliner of the PFL's Battle of the Giants card, which went down in Saudi Arabia. If you don't follow the PFL, you may not know he's a massive 6'8" tall heavyweight who's won the PFL's heavyweight tournament. Early on, Ferreira landed a couple of thumping leg kicks before Ngannou proceeded to take him down. For a few moments there, it looked like Ferreira might spoil Ngannou's MMA return with a triangle choke, but the former UFC champion eventually worked out of the precarious position before eventually rendering Ferreira unconscious with nasty punches from above. With the win, Ngannou became the PFL Super Fight Heavyweight champ. So now that Ngannou has recorded a win in his PFL debut following the tragic loss of his infant son not long ago, it'll be interesting to see what comes next for the star. When asked about his next move, Ngannou reported it depends on how he feels. So in other words, he didn't rule out a possible return to the boxing ring yet. But given he was brutally knocked out by Anthony Joshua in his last boxing match, one would think he'll be defending his title next. John Jones reacted to the Francis Ngannou fight and wrote, "What an amazing job Francis did tonight. Displayed a complete MMA game. Great kicks, great takedowns. It feels good to see him shine. Wow, congratulations champ, I see you." Then responding to a fan who claimed Francis would smoke John, he said, "Sure, everyone beats me up until they're in there with me." Francis Ngannou reveals sad news after his win against Renan Ferreira. According to Eric Nixick, Francis had a lot of doubt about this fight due to an injury to his ribs. Here's what his coach had to say.
For the fight, because when we talked to him in the locker room briefly, he revealed that he had a rib injury as well coming into this fight. So, and he was like maybe close to pulling out. How bad was that?
It was bad enough to where you got to think like he blew out his knee and wasn't going to pull out the Cyril Gane fight, So, and there's a difference, I think. Different stakes, but it also it was a different type of pain for him, and obviously we had a grappling heavy game plan. But he was worried about if he was put on his back, how he would be able to move and try to grapple with an injured rib. But once he went to the doctors and they cleared him on the MRI and everything else, I think he realized, he's like, okay, I think I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna get through this stuff. I know he was questioning himself all the way even up to the day of the fight.
Top comments. McGregor is cooked. I laugh at all of those haters who wanted Francis to lose for no reason. Rest in peace, Kobe. They made that cage look so tiny. That fight was insane.